Rav Dessler told us, we read yesterday, that the challenge of the Yomim Noraim, the Elul and Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, is to stay on the ascent. It's very hard to maintain growth consistently over time. Developing your spirituality requires one very important component, that the body plays along. For example, Rosh Hashanah davening. It's not easy. We're talking about chunks of time. The body doesn't want to do that sometimes. The body says systems are shutting down. Doo-doo-doo. Right? Or I gotta move around. Your growth, your ascent requires the body to play ball. Your neshama wants to serve Hashem. The neshama is connected to Hashem all the time. It knows the Kadosh Baruch Hu. It knows what it needs to do. The problem is that you have a goof, you have a body. I saw yesterday that Rabbeinu Yerucham says, is one of the great Balei Musar, that the whole entire avodah, the work that you have to do in Elul, is to get the body to understand there's a boss. There's somebody in charge, and it's not it. The eyes are under the control of your neshama. The ears, the mouth, the legs, the arms. They have to be subservient to your neshama, to your spiritual goals. The body has its own, it likes sleeping. The minyan starts at 7:30. I could daven min mincha with tefillin. How bad could it be? Right? So you might say, okay, at least he's putting on tefillin. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But we're not here seeking mediocrity. We're not here to do the minimum, to just get. We are here in Elul to elevate, to ascend, and to do our best. So the avodah is to get control of your goof to serve Hashem. And so yesterday we spoke about this, and Yirmiyah, he's not here now, I don't see him, asked a good question. And Rav Dessler actually asked this question. What happens if I can get my body to do whatever I want it to do? I can make it pray. I can make it come to class. I can make it smile to another Jew. Have you ever seen those people with fake smiles? Scary. What? What? What about, you had an honorable mention in cheer, and you weren't here. Honorable, not dishonorable. I'm still in the middle of it, so. About your question yesterday, it was a very good question. What happens when you do an act, but you're not behind that act? That it's not inside you. What? Yes? So, what is the value of doing good acts? That we're doing them externally, that we're doing them because we're used to it, we're doing because we were raised this way, but they are not really a true expression of wanting to do what Hashem wants. So then, is it worth continuing? Am I not lying to myself? So Rav Dessler says that although there seems to be a contradiction between this, that is, your actions and what you're feeling, and so we're going to try to understand how to look at this. So the one idea is, we're doing those actions, even though we're not fully behind them, as a shield against our decline, our spiritual decline. So yeah, we might not be fully feeling it. I'm going to start reading a little bit of Tehillim in Elul to connect as a shield against me descending, so I don't drop my level. Secondly, the Mishnah in Avos says, Yafa Talmud Torah im derech eretz, shegiat shnehem mishkachat avon. That Talmud Torah with derech eretz, I'm not interpreting that, just one second, we will, is best because both of them together removes sin. So even though, now what's derech eretz? Being polite. Shai, did you get my message? You look like you were chased by 11 other people. Was there a ball involved? 6 other people were chasing you?
Yeah. That wasn't even a ball. That was chasing me.
He plays that girl sport. Soccer. Somebody else I interviewed who wants to come to Mechina told me that on his spare time he wants to play soccer. I said, oh, we don't allow girl sports. And he's like, oh. He took it seriously. I saw that, a double take, and then he, oh, no, that's funny, Rabbi. Derech Eretz is being polite. When you see somebody, you say, how are you? Right? You stand on the train, you let the people off first before you. Right? You help elderly. Being a nice guy. Derech Eretz. Now, Derech Eretz has, to an extent, no spiritual value. It's just being polite. Now, I'm going to say something that I don't know how it is in Canada. I've been to Canada a couple of times, so I'm not. What I'm saying does not reflect Canada, but it does reflect the United States. The United States, the culture, a lot of people are very polite. In Israel, people are not very polite. Is that a fair statement? Okay. But in America, kids get kidnapped and end up on milk cartons. Whereas in Israel, kids don't. I don't have an explanation for that. You see here like 3-year-olds wheeling a 2-year-old who's holding the 1-year-old, and they're going to the makolet, with a list this long. Like, how are they going to come back? But that's what's happening. You see kids going to school, You see like a 6-year-old with 3 of his brothers and sisters, and he's bringing them to different places, and then he goes to school. In America, you can't do that. So I don't know of this politeness. Is it a real sign of the derech eretz, or is it just masking really terrible things? Everybody should have derech eretz for sure, even in Israel. But if you had to sort of exchange, I'd leave it the way it is, no? How is it in South Africa? Oh, you guys get robbed all the time. What am I talking about?
Gates. Everyone has gates.
No electricity. Right?
Take it like a man, you know?
Take it like the man. Africans. Take it like a man. This Shabbos in one of the shuls I went to learn, no electricity. No air conditioning, no lights. Did I take it like a man? No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I'm out of here. Ay, ay, ay. And then the old timers at the shul started recounting stories of how it used to be in Israel, where you had no air conditioning. So it was like that all the time. This is what we had, and we walked to school up a hill both ways in the snow. The whole with no shoes. So derech eretz. So derech eretz, to an extent, might not have any spiritual significance. But the fact that you're behaving with derech eretz requires strength. Requires strength. Requires forethought. Right? We have a new dining hall, Baruch Hashem. Right? You have to hold the door so that people can come in and out. That takes strength. I mean, it's not tremendous that now you need to rest and take a nap. But the idea is that every little part that you do reduces the koach that you have to sin. Many people sin because simply they have nothing to do. They're bored. They're bored. And so the Yetzer says, hey, how about this? Hey, how about that? Yes, sir.
When you say that there is, to an extent, doesn't have any effect, wouldn't it doesn't it though? Like Kiddush Hashem's and stuff like that?
The point is now, is that you are not fully behind what you're doing.
As far as that.
Yeah. So you're just being polite. Being polite doesn't take much, right? Have you ever heard somebody say to you, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all? Okay? That's being polite, right? Your wife is going to come to you and say, do I look fat in this?
Yes.
Hence, you're all not married, right? What?
I'm just going to use that on him.
What?
Burn the challah, poison the food.
Burn the challah. This is what he's looking forward to in marriage. You notice? This is like he would have a taster. You never hear it. Fluffy, here, taste this. Come on.
He's gonna call him his cat or his dog?
I don't know, Fluffy. Usually Fluffy is a name for a poodle, no? He's more of a poodle kind of guy. Can't see him sitting around with a Rottweiler.
I'll eat the poodle.
You eat non-kosher food? It's Haredim eat bats, right? Remember that? Right? Because that's what they said in Israel, that the Haredim was spreading COVID. And so they said, yeah, there was a Haredi in China that ate a bat. That was the whole... It's ridiculous. I waited, but I couldn't wait anymore. So, being busy with Talmud Torah and doing maisim of derech eretz, of just being polite, being a good person, is going to help you defeat or protect yourself against sinning. And for that, you might not need to be fully in. Derech eretz is also the way we speak. cursing is not derech eretz. Some people at the dorms think they're in a bar. That's got to end. Eitan, I've been getting complaints. The F-bombs that you're throwing over there. But it's something that everybody should work on. What are you looking at him for? Going, you think he snitched? Every once in a while, somebody comes to me and says, Rabbi, how did you know? And I always say, listen, I don't. I just say things, and I see people react, and I got you. You know? When I was your age, some of you, I used to work undercover, catching shoplifters in Nordstrom's or Sportsmart, different places. So you had to, figure out how to get them to tell you what you want them to know, what you want to know. What?
They caught me once.
Yeah? I didn't catch you.
Polo boxers.
A what?
Those $30 polo boxers.
Those. They just jumped on top of you, didn't they?
I was with my grandma. I thought I was untouchable.
It was a fun job. It was. So, derech eretz with Talmud Torah. Also, when you do a mitzvah, just a ma'aseh mitzvah, pick any mitzvah in your mind. Okay, you're doing an act of doing a mitzvah. And certainly from limud Torah, when you're sitting and learning Torah. Okay? It's possible that the external act would resurrect or cause an inside spiritual growth moment. And you have to be open to that. That is just Yirmi, just now, if you don't feel it, it doesn't mean that it will never happen. And you have to be open that there could be a time where you're putting on tzitzis, you're davening shachris, you're making a bracha, Birkas Mazon, sitting and learning, that all of a sudden you feel, wow, I feel connected. I feel this is it. This is what I want to do with my life. And so, even if you're going to start doing it, shelo lishma, you're not really doing it for its own sake. You're not doing the mitzvah to grow. You're doing it because everybody else is doing it. For example, tomorrow morning, Mechina has Shachris. What time is our Shachris?
8 a.m.
7:50. 7:50, my friend. So some of you are going to be here at 7:50 dragging your feet. Because everyone's going, so you're going to come. That's good. That's good. It would be better if you all were here at 7:42, ready to go. I always tell my kids, it's not a sin and it's not usher to be here for a minyan 2 minutes early. What? That's crazy, Rabbi. Where are you going, Shia? Because I was going to do the shidduch spot.
He's going to sleep early so he can make it to Shabbos tomorrow.
Yeah, right. He's going to make it to shachis like I'm going to be a Chinese, I don't know, kung fu fighter. He's got that wedding tonight.
No, I'm going to make sure we get all to get to sleep early.
What, you're going to do sleeping darts?
Just say time to go, everybody.
Oh, time to go. Yeah, that's going to work.
Go. Back on the bus.
And you're going to get hot cocoa to everyone.
Oh, yes, that kind of hot cocoa, yes.
Is there any other hot cocoa that I don't know about?
Oh, you weren't suggesting?
What is hot cocoa suggesting?
What, with the sleeping pills in it?
Where did you grow up that they put sleeping pills in your...
I'm from Philadelphia.
They say that there are, I think it's enzymes, that when you warm milk, that whatever the enzymes help you fall asleep. I don't know how that works, but that was the story when I was growing up. So that you would get like warm milk. Now, since milk by itself is disgusting, so they put like chocolate syrup a little bit, like quick mix, and then it's hot cocoa, and then you drink it, and you. But nobody put pills in it. What are you talking about? What is this? One flew over the cuckoo's nest? Yes, sir.
So the idea is that like it's better to do like derech eretz, something that's not a hard task, even if you're not feeding it, just so you have this guard against like falling away from Hashem. But on the other hand, like you wouldn't day one immediately just pick up every single mitzvah and like immediately burn out.
Correct.
So where do you like draw the line of?
This is why you have your Rav. And you sit with your rabbi, and your rabbi, I'm ready to grow. What should I take on? And your rabbi will say, well, now it's time to take on, let's say, tzitzis. Usually I tell guys, the first thing you should do, take on tzitzis. Because I'm assuming that they are ochel kashrut, they eat kosher food. If they live on yeshiva, they are shomer Shabbos. So tzitzit is very easy. You put it on, Gamarnu. Set it and forget it. You don't have to worry about it. And then you start davening in a minyan, right? Adding the learning, adding this, adding that. So there's a process.
So you just follow the rabbi.
That's how it works.
But like he doesn't fully know like where exactly you're holding, whether you.
Well, we're not using our prophetic powers. We're using our knowledge and conversations that we have. Are you new to this? Didn't we have conversation? Don't you come to my office and tell me, Rabbi, Shaya and I have this.
It's a secret, rabbi.
Yeah, I didn't say what it was. If you could blush anymore, you would make you the sales look, white.
Ready?
You're that red, yeah. Maybe because of the girls running after you in the soccer game. Tov. So when you do a mitzvah shalal lishma, that's how you're starting out. You're not really thinking about that. You're coming to the minyan because that's what everybody does. You're not really thinking, I'm coming to serve Hashem. I'm coming to show Hashem that I care about him, that I'm speaking to him. You're not there yet. That's okay. So even though you don't have the right mindset, it could spark your spiritual growth by the fact that you are doing it. And so even if you're not connected in the beginning, that doesn't mean that you won't get connected a little later. Now, there are other sources in Judaism that contradict what we just said, says Rav Dessler. And they're very, very strong opposing that view. For example, the prophet Isaiah in chapter 29, verse 13 and 14, he says, look, because these people come to me with their mouths and lips, honoring me, but their hearts are very far from me. They honor me with their mouth and lips, which means they are praising me externally, but where their mind is, where their heart is, very far from me. And their fear of me is simply a matter of habit. They grew up this way, and that's what they're doing. They're not thinking about this. And so, he says, I will continue to punish them and make it great, and you can see. And so, Hashem says in the end of this passage that he's going to remove knowledge and understanding from the Jewish people because that's how they serve Hashem. And so we see that it's the opposite opinion of what we just saw above. That is, if your heart and mind isn't into it, there's going to be a very negative consequence. Also, Avraham Avinu, you guys remember Avraham Avinu? Do you know who Avraham Avinu was? Abraham, from the Bible. Avraham Avinu says, I said, there is no fear of God in this place, and they will kill me for my wife. He was among the Philistines, this is after Egypt, and he was worried that he would be killed and his wife would be taken. Now, I don't want to get too much into the storyline because we're learning Musar, we're learning how to connect to Hashem. But you have to understand a little bit of background on what's happening. Avram Avinu, when he was 70 years old, God tells him, leave everything behind. Leave wherever you were in the city of Haran and come to Canaan, which is Eretz Yisrael. And so, he had a big congregation. He had lots of followers. He built a whole life there. And God says, buddy, wrap it up, go to Eretz Yisrael. He left. Came to Eretz Yisrael, there's a famine. Avram Avinu went broke. Not broke like, you guys. Like literally had no money. Okay? He had nothing. So he decides, I got to do something. I'm going to go down to Egypt. And when he's going down to Egypt, he's staying in different inns as he's traveling. And he doesn't have any money to pay. And what does he tell when these people are asking, like, what are you doing here? Oh, God told me to come here. What God? The God of the universe. Oh, yeah, the God of the universe. And that's the God of the universe that is making you wealthy, that you can't afford your bread and water and anything. And essentially, just imagine how difficult it was for him. Wherever he's going, he's got to tell his story. And people are looking at him like, this is really? You're following a deity that left you to hang dry? He gets to Egypt, and he realizes that in Egypt they're going, because his wife is pretty, they're going to kill him and take her. Wait a second. If she were pretty, why are they going to kill him? Couldn't they have just taken her as is? What?
She won't want to do anything. She's married.
Louder.
She won't want to do anything. She's married.
She would not want. Wait a second. If you took her, let's say she wasn't married, and you took her, she would want to do something. Sarah Imenu, you want to say she wanted to do something? Bad shot.
They don't want him to come after them.
No. If he could come after them, then they couldn't kill him. Right? It's not like Avraham Avinu wasn't like some ninja. It's not like Karate Kid. Yeah.
I would rather kill him and do one big sin than to sleep with her multiple times and commit a bunch of little sins.
Well, what's the little sin?
Married woman.
You see, they were saying, we do not have relations with a married woman. We are good people. But if she was a widow, hypocrisy at its core. That's the same thing that the people, the Philistines, were saying. Avram Avinu realized that what they're going to do is they will not take her because she's a married woman. Oh, no. Well, let's make her a widow. And you're like, but wait, you just killed the man. Mama, ooh. Who cares? Who cares? So Avram Avinu, after his whole ordeal in Mitzrayim, comes to Eretz Yisrael, okay? Now he's wealthy. He's going back to every inn, paying them what he owed them. He could have stayed at the 5-star hotels on the way, but he didn't. He went back to the same places that cut him a break. And he's paying them back, and he's showing them the blessing that Hashem has done for him. Big Kiddush Hashem. And then he goes to the Philistines, and then they're over there, he's realizing Egypt all over again. The Philistines pretended, they behaved like tzaddikim. Oh, it's your married wife. No touchy. They were very good at being polite. Derech Eretz. And Avraham Avinu says, their entire behavior of Derech Eretz, of being polite and all of that, isn't going to change their pnimius. It isn't going to affect their moral character. Just like the example I gave you in America, that people are polite. But morally, what kind of a society is that? That kids are unsafe on the front yard. Kids can't walk from school. That sounds normal? I don't know how it is in Canada.
Same thing.
Do kids end up on milk cartons too? Chas v'shalom? It's terrible. And so, Avraham Avinu is telling us that the Philistines he suspected of them of being murderers. They have no fear of God, and because they would want her, Sarah Imenu, to be taken to their king, they would kill me in a heartbeat. And you see that their external behavior did not shape or influence their internal moral compass. You could also see a little bit of that in Sodom and Gomorrah. The story of Sodom and Gomorrah, of how those people lived, they had a rule: you're not allowed to give tzedakah. Now, you might say to them, isn't that cruel? Like, why not? Just, if somebody needs help, you give them a helping hand. No, you're just making them dependent on others. Everybody needs to contribute to society and pull their weight. And if you start with charity and accepting guests, bring them to their homes, then you're going to have a bunch of homeless people that are not, and you're going to have to pay for them, and you have parasites in your society. That is, it sounds like, when you listen, like, well, okay. No. They gave you this aura of and so we see that the external actions had no effect into their pnimius, into their moral compass. And so Rav Dessler first brought us sources to say that external actions do shape your inside. It is possible. But then he brought us two sources that say no. So now the question is, okay, so what do we do with this? Should we invest in doing ma'asim tovim, good actions, even if we're not fully committed, we don't really feel it? Or do we go like the prophet Yeshayahu and Avraham Avinu hinted, that really the external actions, independent of your pnimius, of your spiritual development, is not going to have any effect? So we have two opinions. And so let's try to understand a little deeper of how we look at human action. Okay? In Maisim, Rav Dessler says we have three categories we have to pay attention to. I don't know that we're going to finish all three categories. Maybe we'll just do one today and we'll do two tomorrow. If you can come back tomorrow, that's great. If not, you don't have to. The shir of tomorrow will be online the following day. So you could listen to it, and then you'll just be one day behind. It's on YouTube. Just look for my thumbnail. Next to that girl from Tennessee, huh?
Nebraska.
She's not from Nebraska.
She's from Nebraska.
I'm from Nebraska.
She likes Tennessee, but she's from Nebraska.
Really?
Are you from Nebraska?
Yeah, I lived in Omaha for 13 years.
Oh my God.
I mean, I grew up in LA.
Okay.
Then when I graduated college, then I went to Berkeley for a semester, and then I left and went to NYU. So I lived in New York for 4 years. And after New York, I came to Nebraska. And after Nebraska, I came to Eretz Yisrael, to a city called Rehovot. It's not on any map, I know. That's the geography of my... whereas Rehovot is about... Public transportation is about an hour and a half from here. If you had a car, it's about 45 minutes.
You host for Shabbos?
No. Yes, sir.
Why don't you host for Shabbos?
I like the follow-up. I was going to ask that too.
Well,
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
you couldn't resist. Watch, I'm going to resist answering. No, the answer is very simple. It's very, very simple. It depended, in the past, a lot of guys came to my house because we had a room to put them in. Now, once my daughter got married, and now they live with us for a little bit until their apartment's ready. So they're staying in that wing of the apartment where guests are. And the other rooms are for my boys when they come from Yeshiva, and I don't know when they come and when they don't. So that's really logistical. But there's something bigger that I don't think you appreciate. Rabbis also need a day off. When we are in yeshiva, we always are, Rabbi, can I ask a question? Rabbi, I have a question. That's what we're here for. That's what we want. That's what we learn Torah. That's why we invest in our learning to be able to help you. But there needs to be like a day that I could just do my thing without, and it changes the dynamics of the house, right? Because when I'm at home with my family, they don't like the rabbi, just, I get yelled at, which is nice. It's a good feeling. But if you guys are there, I won't get yelled at. So I'd feel like, wait a second. Then it starts going to my head. Hey, I'm a rabbi, get away from me. So it's sort of, but there are two people that were invited to my house that are sitting here, and they're just waiting to which week. And then once they come, then other people will come. And I do have people over. It's not often, but yeah.
Those are good reasons.
Yeah.
All of those were great.
Baruch Hashem. Everything that I do, I try to have a good reason that makes sense not only to me.
And no follow-up, right?
And remember, now there are some people who say, Rabbi, if I'm in Rehovot, can I just come for one meal? That's a lot easier.
If you have a place.
Because they have a place to stay, then they're not with me. I'm not on all the time, right? And there's also one more challenge. It depends on who's coming for the meals. If everybody speaks Hebrew and they're not English speakers, and there's only one English speaker, that's sort of... So that also is something that... Korean.
English?
All right. Mincha, gentlemen, mincha.